support.
The maestro, please!
July, keeping us going with the new music. This will be for the week of
July 9th. 2022.
On this day in music back in 1958, the soundtrack to Oklahoma became the first album to be certified gold by the RIAA. Back then, a gold album meant that sales of your albums have accumulated to $1 million. The soundtrack to that Obi-Wan series popped up at number 7. Maybe it'll pop up 2 more.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
There's actually a handful of things that have charted on the jazz albums chart. Given none of them in the top 5, obviously we'd be talking about them.
Singing.
I love rock and roll.
You light my morning sky, burning love.
The 2002 compilation of a bunch of different #1 songs that Elvis had throughout his career. And the reason this is back up here is because
You wait the minute.
the Elvis Presley biopic has been generating a lot of buzz. You'll find a lot of interesting renditions of some old Elvis tunes on here, so even if you're not a fan of Elvis's music, I recommend at least going through the soundtrack.
Here's a simple story.
The obvious follow-up to Vaxis Act 1, we have Vaxis Act 2, and with a lot of Coheed and Cambria's albums, this is another concept album focusing around the storyline featured in The Amory Wars, a series of books and novels done by Coheed and Cambria frontman Claudio Sanchez. So if you've been following the story, well, you've probably already listened to this anyway.
It's bigger than hip-hop, hip-hop.
For tonight, I'm yours. So
After 2 EPs and a compilation album of said EPs, we finally get the debut studio album from GIVÄON.
Can't trust these hoes cause they hippie. I know that your best friend gon' slide now. Party at my house, that's a vibe now.
Studio album number 10 from Chris Brown. After a lot of hype, Forbes even made an article that listed Breezy as one of the most anticipated R&B albums of last year. Gorillaz' Demon Days worked its way back to number 2. They reissued a new vinyl version of it that's purple.
And now I need some help from the maestro, please!
Hey, they ain't never did shit to me.
why that nigga talking like he talk? They ain't did shit to me.
Why that nigga land inside his verse? He ain't
Back up here because of the Deluxe edition, and despite the Reloaded edition really only having that one additional track, Computer Murderers, the Deluxe edition has 13 new tracks.
Can't trust these hoes cause they hippie. I know that your best friend gon' slide now. Party at my house, that's a vibe now.
Interesting thing to note now that this is charted, 5 songs from this album have all charted on the Hot 100, making Chris Brown the 8th artist with the most entries on the Hot 100 with 112. The person he displaced? Elvis Presley.
Gotta throw a party for my day ones. Pull up and you know it's us, the bass jumping.
Fun fact about the song you just heard, Jimmy Cooks, it samples both Just Awake and Shaken by Play a Fly and You Were Gone by Brooke Benton. But you would know that already if you watched the pop analysis I did.
Making the kind of love we made.
Studio album number 3 from Luke Combs, following up 2019's What You See Is What You Get. This makes his 4th top 5 album on the Billboard 200 and the highest charting country album this year.
Y ahora toca un verano sin ti. La estoy pasando bien, no te voy.
Fun fact, this album technically qualifies as an independent album. So we have an independent, non-English album just blowing this chart away. So not a lot of diversity across all the genres, but still a good amount of music to get you through this next week.
And now I need some help from the maestro, please! Maestro!